Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from across the globe. I welcome you to today's edition. It took me a whole lot to be here today, but here I am. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you, and it's part of the episode that I am being very intentional about, and I'm discussing about strategies for finding business partners that complement you, strategies for finding business partners that complement you. And why am I quite excited to have this conversation? Well, so I usually would look at myself as somebody that is out there saying things that are to come strategically, especially for Africa, in the context of the developments that will be coming. And so for me, I consider that Africa is the global market, is a space where a lot of things will be happening. And in the happenings, in those things that are to come, I believe that you and I should prepare ourselves strategically for that happening, for those events that are to come. And because of that, one of those things I believe so much is the fact that partnerships would matter at that level when Africa begins to become that strategic point for commercial activities. Well, you may look at it as at today and say Africa is on that level at this point, but I bet it with you, a lot of things would still happen in Africa that would surprise the entire globe. A lot of things, positive things. And so that's why I'm always excited. And that's why I am strategically holding everyone as much as possible, African entrepreneurs, and guiding them on those strategic things that would make the difference. So today is going to be a part two of our conversation. And thank you, Daniel, for joining this session. I'm super grateful. Thanks for the honor. Thanks for the privilege of allowing me to share thoughts with you, and for as many that would also be joining. So let's get into our activity. I love stories a lot. So I'm going to start today by telling you a story. Years ago, when I was ready to have a life partner, one of those people that really, really connected for me, that helped me a whole lot, happened to be a grandma. Well, I'm not going to be mentioning her name, but I'm most grateful for having that kind of relationship in my life. And so when I had conversation with this particular woman, there was something she told me that connected in a different way to me. Then I sat with her and she told me, she said, look, in a flower garden, you are going to see a lot of butterflies. And these butterflies will look very similar. They will look, so while they are unique, though, they are going to look very similar. And until you go nearer, before you begin to see the uniqueness of each of those butterflies. And it's the same thing in business relationship, in partnership, in business generally. You are going to meet a lot of people, and these people would look very similar. They will look like the real deal for your partnership. They will look like the perfect partner for that project. And until you begin to move closer, you may never know who the ideal partner should be for that project. And I hope that you get this story that I am saying. And so, based on this is why I came up with this conversation today, to help us begin to discern the relationships that we should find ourselves in, so that we do not judge everybody and all Tom, Dick, and Harry as the ideal partner for that project. So today I want to share with you what I think, or what I believe. It's a postulation, really. It's a theory. What I believe should be the trajectory of moving into partnership. So I believe, for instance, that you have to start from that friendship zone. You have to start from the friendship where you begin to share thoughts and ideas, and you begin to sample opinions, and then from this you know whether you connect or not. And when you think that yes, there is a connection somewhere, you move it from friendship to dating, where you begin to look at projects together, where you synergize on one-off projects, and you need not come together in union as a partnership or under one company. And then from this one-off project, you can move into what is called the courtship, where there is that understanding, there is that bond, and then you know that at that level of courtship, well, I'm not saying that at that courtship level you cannot pull out, because we need to also understand that many relationships will get to the courtship level, but it doesn't mean that they have to continue into marriage. I remember years ago, there were these two people I looked up to, and they got to that courtship level where they had even done the traditional, and then at some point they pulled out of the union. I felt very pained, I felt very disappointed, but maybe because of my background as a lawyer, and over the years I started learning that it is not bad to pull out of a courtship. It's just not bad. It's rather better than getting into a marriage, into a union, and then thinking to divorce. If you find something that connects and as a ground for you to pull out, it's not bad. It's never too late to pull out at that level. So you get into that level of engagement, you get into that level of courtship, and then when you connect again on this level, then you can then move on to close the deal and say you are starting a company together. And this thing I have said, it is not just applicable when you are bringing in people to become partners, active partners. It's also applicable if you are bringing in people to become your financiers, whereby they put in fund. They can put in fund for one-off projects, and you see how these things go. You want to observe people. You want to be sure that this butterfly, I am moving closer to it, and it is connecting. And there's this, there is this synergy that binds us together. There is this common value that we have together. And this, for me, is the way that partnerships should be built. It's a strategic thing. It's a step-by-step thing. It's not something that you should jump into. And very crucial question I usually ask entrepreneurs is, if you are not going to be marrying a stranger, why should you rush into a partnership? It's very crucial. These are things that you need to be thinking about before you say yes to that relationship. And let me share with you those things that makes me to know that this that I'm sharing with you today is a valid proposition, it's a valid idea. Well, in truth, it's not something I think you would find on Google, which is why I called it my own theory of partnership. And I'll tell you and defend why I believe that this is a valid idea. I'll start with a story. Is the story of HP, Hewlett Packard. I'm sure that some of you would know the story of HP. It might interest you that HP started as a synergy for one-off projects right there on campus by two people that came together just for one-off projects. Eventually, they connected and they saw that there is a synergy between them. And today, HP has been able to outlive the founders such that it has become a transgenerational business. And that's the kind of business that I look forward to seeing you build. And is the kind of example that I want you to research on this your journey as an entrepreneur. And then I'll move to the second example. The second example is something that also goes to establish the fact that you need to move relationship from one step to the other, and you need not rush into marrying a stranger and then joining yourself together with a stranger in a partnership that would eventually not give birth to what you would have desired for that baby. Now, this example is the case of Google and NASA. NASA, as some of you would know, is how do I put it now? So it's more of a not-for-profit, which I believe is supervised or is is a arm of the American government devoted into space research and many other things. But interestingly, some of you would know, I mean, you may even know, you may not know, that what we know today as Google Maps is a product of synergy between NASA and Google. And interestingly, that synergy did not lead into a company. That synergy became a dating engagement whereby Google and NASA have been able to build other projects after Google Maps, and until today, it's a thriving union. But guess what? That union cannot become a marriage. Why can it not become a marriage? See, in business, certain partnerships are better left in the space of dating than moving to courtship or to a marriage. They are better left in the place of dating because you need to test competencies, you need to test values, you need to test ideas, thoughts, and opinions. Certain people in life will complement you at the level of friendship. Certain people in life will complement you with their strength at the level of that distance that needs to be maintained. And it's the case of NASA and Google, in the fact that Google has a vision that is different from NASA, and NASA has a value system different from Google. But there are shared competencies, there are areas where they are able to complement each other, and both of them have been able to leverage on those things over the years to make things work between themselves. And this is how you need to begin to think partnership. You need not jump into marriage with all Tom, Dick, and Harry that you think look like that butterfly that is a perfect butterfly to complement your flower garden. And I hope that you are getting some lessons from this conversation. And then, so let me give third example, something that connects and would explain to you why it is crucial to not miss the place of putting people in the rightful place. Is it a friendship zone? Is it a dating zone? Is it a courtship zone? Is it a marriage zone? Now, this example is my third example on the list, and it is the case of, I mean, a number of you will know, that's Adobe and what's the name now? I mean, this happened just late last year, Adobe and Figma. In that synergy, in that rapport, Adobe was going to be buying over Figma. And in that purchase, they had gone the extra mile, signed documents, did everything. And then the regulatory agency came over. And at that point, it was a no from the UK regulatory authorities for reasons of the point or the fact that, look, this relationship is going to go, or is going to lead into a situation where competition is stiffened up, and then there could be some monopoly. So it's called the antitrust laws, of course, which would mean that if we allow this union to happen, then competition is going to be defeated, and that would then make people to be exposed to a situation where they are at the mercy of Adobe as a company. And so this is an example of a relationship gone bad. Why is it a typical example of relationship gone bad? Many years ago, I got into this situation where there were a whole lot of these stories around me, and in honesty, I happened to, have that. I had my own share of that kind of encounter. I don't know if this is something that you know of, or have experienced, or someone that has experienced, where people are in friendship and are in courtship and get to that level where they never even ascertained their compatibility. It could be a matter of genotype, for instance, and then you see two people madly in love, and they got to the level where they were ready to do their marriage, and only for them to realize that, look, we are not compatible by virtue of the genotype that we both have. Now, some people at this level decides to go on with the union, and when they go on with the union, they go on with that union to stand the test of time and begin to, take a bigger risk on life. And that risk could be about whether giving birth to children that would then become the problem that they would have to deal with all their life. And then these children also, they have to deal with the problem that the parents caused for them. Of course, some, get lucky at this. It's not cast in stone. But the point I'm mentioning is that when it comes to business relationship, you need to know that certain things can be avoided if you follow this postulation, if you follow this theory that I am sharing with you today. If Adobe, for instance, had taken a step, had taken its time to do the necessary compatibility check before getting to that level, it would have saved itself from unnecessary stress of having to now pay over 20, I think it was 20 million USD or 20 billion or so. But, this was a very huge figure that Adobe could have saved itself from. And the lesson again I'm passing across is that relationships, when it comes to African context, learn this message. Relationships should move from friendship zone and it should graduate just through the sequence of time and the sequence of understanding to that position where you get into a union, which will now be the coming together to form a company, whether with an investor or with an active partner that is going to becoming active on that project or in that business. And so what are the lessons I'm leaving with you today? First lesson, you need to check compatibility. This is very crucial, and this is what my theory would help you to achieve. It would help you to grow over time to understudy compatibility. Remember the example that I gave earlier on about flowers in the garden and the fact that until you move closer, you never may be able to tell the difference in the different butterflies that are in that garden. So it's crucial for you to submit your partnership to the test of time at a level that is safe, without jumping into that union where you bind yourself and then you begin to try to understand the stranger you have brought to your bed, whom you are trying to check compatibility with. So my theory would help you to validate and verify compatibility, which is very crucial for any union. And the second thing that this would also do for you is it will help you to identify strengths. It will help you to identify weaknesses. Take the example of NASA and Google that I shared earlier on. Both were able to identify their strengths and their weaknesses. And if you get online today, you do a check, you Google check NASA, you Google check Google, you find that both of them have been able to build projects over the years by reason of the competence that they've discovered in each other. And they are still moving on strong, not in a union, but in a synergy that I will call dating. And in business, what do I mean by dating? Dating means that you are submitting yourself over and over to work together on projects in synergy without necessarily coming together under the same company. In essence, I could look at party A, and party A may have the same value with me and also have the same passion, the same thing that connects. And then I tell party A, look, can we work on project ABC together? And based on project ABC, now ABC does not mean 1, 2, 3. ABC is just figurative. It could be, okay, can we work on a road development project together? And at that level, I'm able to check compatibility. I'm able to check many other things. That person may be the one bringing in the money, or may be the one bringing in the ideas and the thoughts. But all of these things help me to be able to check compatibility. And the final reason again, on this point that I'm sharing, why this that I've shared with you is very crucial, is because over the years, from my experience, I've seen many people that have passion, but they may not have the same energy. And so, if you jump into that marriage, you'll find that at that level, you had misjudged their passion and thought that passion was sufficient to get you the results that you would have wanted. Guys, the lesson is this: People may have passion, but they may not have the same energy to drive through that project with you. And before you know it, the very reason you brought somebody in becomes the same reason for the downfall, because this person has a passion but is unable to, change that passion into, activate that passion to get results that would move the company forward. So these are crucial things that you need to check. And what's my final point of this? On this, why do I think that my theory is something that every entrepreneur should consider? The final thing I wish to say is that when you successfully implement this idea that I've shared with you, when you successfully implement the moving of relationship from one layer to the other, from one level, from that simple level to the comprehensive or the more technical level, when you gradually move relationship as I have postulated, what you eventually do is to be able to sieve out people and know what drives them, what's their driving force. See, if you successfully go through projects with people, it becomes easier to know who connects with you at the level of coming under the same umbrella. If you successfully implement projects, it builds confidence, it helps you to understand more, what connects with people, and therefore it builds mutual trust. It also builds mutual respect. And these are things that you should not joke with. And which is why I said it's very, very crucial for you to be able to work together on projects at different levels before you get to that level where you then say that indeed this person connects with me as a life partner that I can hold on to as a relationship. Remember again the story of HP, and I hope that with these ideas I've shared with you, it gives you a point to reflect on, whereby you begin to think, how do I build strategic relationships and then grow from strategic relationship into life relationships that will give birth to transgenerational businesses? That is what we need in Africa, and that is what you and I should be building. Thank you for being a part of this conversation today, and thank you also for liking it. I would want you to please share this with your friends. Let everybody know, because something big is going to happen in Africa, and you and I are going to be a part of it. We are going to do great things, and one of those things is going to be partnerships. And thank you once again for being a part of this. Do have for yourself a wonderful week. Bye.